It's underway. Let's hear it from the crowd. Let's hear it for IdrA and Jjakji.
IdrA looking stoic as ever, cold as ice. Maybe we will get to see some emotion here if we get a victory.
Perhaps. We'll have to see. Map, like we said, is Sandshorn Mist. Not a good map here for IdrA based on those stats. And overall, Jjakji's win rate versus Zerg, not good for him either. So the numbers don't lie. IdrA's going to have his work cut out for him. We'll see what happens. Now, IdrA is going to be the red Zerg spawning at the 9 o'clock position on the left side of Sandshorn Mist. Let's hear it up for IdrA. And on the right, we do have the Terran Phenom defeating Lenok, an absolute monster in TVZ. Let's hear it for Jjakji. All right, well, certainly fans of both players here, Pain User.
There certainly are.
Yeah, and this is going to be one of the epic matches of Saturday. Can't wait, man.
Yeah, and the map, Sandshorn Mist, very, very interesting map, especially for this matchup. It's really difficult for the Zerg player to take and secure a third base. One thing you will see a lot of Zerg players do on this map is they'll try and expand to the third and the fourth at the same time, which forces the Terran player to make a decision. Do I attack the fourth or do I attack the third? Which ultimately, the Zerg ends up having a third base either way. So a lot of players will try and do that. And it
hear me yesterday, though.
On where the Terran player is, depending on where his army is, where his troop movements are, that really determines where the Zerg player needs to expand on this map.
Interesting move out of the Overlord here from IdrA, deciding to go to the north first and then sending the other Overlord to the south. It looks like he really wants to make sure that his Overlord can get behind the natural. And I really like that too, because if you send your Overlords right away across the map, a Marine may pick it off, and that can be a big risk. Now, talking back about what you mentioned before, the double expanding, essentially this map very hard to grab the third. You just don't know where to get it. So, you know what? Might as well just get both and have a little bit of redundancy. And if one goes down, well, you still have the other way.
I mean, it's not a sure thing, but a lot of Zerg players do try and do that just because the third is rather disjointed on this map. It's far away. There's multiple attack avenues to the third, so it just makes it very difficult to hold.
All right, well, IdrA now sending another drone out across the map. He did get the natural down. Can't help but wonder now what else is he going to do with that drone besides
we're good.
Scout. No, looks like he's going to go ahead and send it out across the map. Thought he might try to get a quick third, but he looks like he wants to get that drone in there, figure out what Jjakji.
Because I want to be able to look at all of them.
I mean, IdrA certainly not a fan of cheese or getting cheese.
Do you want to send here?
You know, sending out that drone, making sure he's dotting his I's, crossing his T's, checking around for any kind of proxy rexes or anything like that. Looks like he will lose this drone without getting too much scouting information right there. He really just doesn't have any idea what Jjakji's up to here.
The only thing he really scouted there was the fact that there isn't a proxy barracks across the map, because the Marines are obviously filing out of the main. So now he knows that there's barracks inside the main. That doesn't really say much, except that he's not getting ultra cheese with some type of 2 proxy barracks. We'll see which avenue he decides to take out this. Jjakji is going for the reactor factory build, and of course that does mean we're going to have some Hellions coming out across to control the map for Jjakji.
And Jjakji right now just on the prowl looking for overlords. Has a few Marines just patrolling all over the map trying to find some overlords. And there we have a command center on the low ground from Jjakji. He's also swapping out those add-ons, switching to the reactor factory. Going to start getting Hellions out for some map control.
That's
now,
awkward, but
we will see which tech pattern he decides to go with here, depending on whether he gets additional Raxes or if he adds additional factories. Only time will tell.
Yeah, there's a couple of ways you can go after this factory build. You can obviously get more factories, go right into mass mech. You can get all-out orange flame Hellions, which is kind of all in. We'll just see which way Jjakji goes with. He does have the natural now building down on the low ground. Some Zerglings trying to get us around here on the
Hi guys, it's me, Megan the X there, and here with me is part of the Team Slayers. We have, I'll actually let them introduce themselves.
And good job by Jjakji.
Oh, and we do have a Starport follow-up here. So this is a build we've been seeing lately.
I'm
a lot of very high-level Korean players. They get that Starport, swap it out on the barracks immediately.
Hello.
I'm
Sergio.
offensively and defensively.
일찍 떨어져서 할 게 없어서 인터뷰하게 됐습니다.
Nice job by IdrA. I'd expect him to start spreading out that creep.
Hello, I'm MMA.
Is the buffer zone that Zerg really needs in order to
Okay,
get
what Ryung
vision,
said
but
just
also,
now was that
prevent
he
tanks from
didn't
seeking
make
up
it in
right
the
in front
open
of their
bracket,
natural,
so
because, of
he's
course,
here
those
doing an
tanks are
interview
gonna start to
instead.
leapfrog once you reach the edge of the creep.
Certainly. And Jjakji.
And we're just going to make this a really fun, light interview. And here on my end is Lil Susie. If you guys follow Brood War and you should know who she is. So I guess my first question is going to be really fun. How do you guys like Vegas so far?
Some Hellion harass, but he's making a lot of roaches and Zerglings here. And IdrA could go for a big bust at the front door. Now there is double starport down for Jjakji.
You know what?
처음 와본 곳인데 너무 색달라서 너무 기분이 좋았는데 어제 대회를 떨어져서 좀 별로 좋은 추억이 되진 않을 것 같네요. 네, 일단 건물도 화려하고 이쁜 여자들도 많아서 될 수 있으면 다음에 또 오고 싶습니다.
네, 저도 미국은 좀 다녀봤는데 라스베가스는 처음이에요. 여기 너무너무 좋은 것 같고 IPL 짱.
Okay. Oh, wow. I'm going to do 3 at a time each time. Crank says this is his first time abroad, so he really likes it. He thought that it was very different from what he's used to, but he didn't make it very far in the open brackets, so he doesn't feel that his memory of this place is going to be very good. Ryung was saying that the buildings are really nice and the girls are really pretty, and so he really likes this place. And MMA said, what did you say?
IPL 짱.
IPL is awesome. That's what he said. He's been to America a few times. Oh, that's what he said. He's been to America a few times, but this is his first time in Vegas, and he thought the same as the rest of them. This is a really great place, and IPL is awesome.
He's taking his third at the same time. Let's just hope IdrA can
Now,
get some
I just wanted to know, because when we go to Vegas, we eat the best food and we eat buffet. Did you guys get a pick out yet?
He's doing a lot of damage. It's already killed off a queen, and it's going after another queen. And it's going to fly away now. So Spore Crawler's finally coming up, and it looks like Jjakji is going to pull away, but he did kill off one queen there, which is not too shabby.
대회 때문에 컨디션을 최대한 잘 조절하기 위해서 저는 한국 음식 위주로 먹어가지고 잘 모르겠네요.
Queens, though, are the least of
네, 김치가 제일 맛있었어요.
저는 어제 AJ가 그 약간 중국 음식 같은 거 사줬거든요. 그 너무 맛있었고 이 자리를 빌어 감사하다고 말하고 싶네요.
Okay, he said for the best condition possible, they were actually eating Korean food that they brought with them from Korea. So Crank was saying that he hasn't really had a chance to go out and eat other food. Ryung says the kimchi was the best. And MMA yesterday, one of our IGN people, AJ, took him for Chinese food, Americanized Chinese food, and he thought that was really good. So he wants to say thank you to AJ on camera and say that's the best food that he's had so far. Actually, I ran into them. So speaking of that Chinese food that they got, he got a really interesting fortune cookie, and I think that he wasn't able to translate it, so I'm going to let you know what it said. I think it said something like, you're going to do chores on Saturday, and it was funny because he actually got knocked out yesterday.
Their way onto the field now. Jjakji has actually completely cut Banshee production. He just has those 2 starports now kind of sitting idle. I'm sure he'll start to produce medevacs in a little bit here. And he's just now establishing his position at the natural, just now able to land that orbital command back down. So really, IdrA's opener here, I think, worked out very well for him.
Yeah, he did some damage. He prevented the natural from going down for a very long time. The double starport here not going to really help out too much, and he's going to have to switch into medevac production to help fortify his bio. These 3 Banshees are still flying across the skies, though, trying to get some damage in, but of course the Spore Crawler is there. I really like how IdrA's sticking with the +1/+1, the prevalent ZVT style now, that it really just one of the most dominant ways to play Zerg versus Terran. Get double Evo Chamber down, master upgrades, Zergling Infestor, go into Brute Lord, and the Terran have a very hard time stopping that.
Yeah, and here we have IdrA adding that macro hatch at his natural.
Oh, what are those queens doing? They're going off the creep, and Transfuse saves the queen.
And Transfuse saves the day. We do have 1 Banshee remaining here, and Jjakji actually has set up a position here, and he's fortified the middle of the map, which is kind of interesting. He really wants to hold on to that Xel'Naga. We also have a single Viking that Jjakji produced after swapping those add-ons on the starport. Oh, doesn't actually pick off that Overlord. IdrA dropping a transfuse right there. Very nice.
He's going to keep those Overlords alive. I do want to say that it is going to go down at the end. Well, hey, you know what? Both players are just trying to micro, make use of their resources, keep everything alive, and kill as much as they can. I do have to say, Jjakji putting himself in a bit of a vulnerable spot, I think, in this little area, the Valley of Death, I like to call in Sandstorm Mist, because the Zerg can come from behind and flank, but it doesn't look like IdrA's doing that. Now he's allowed Jjakji to start to set up on the creep here, and it looks like the Terran is going to begin the push, but IdrA's coming in with all the Zerglings and Roaches. He's going to be able to get up amongst the tanks, and both tanks at the front taking heavy damage. The two Banshees also clicking as well. Queen's coming off to help fight, but it doesn't look like IdrA. No, he's got plenty of Roaches, man. And it's really coming really close, but tanks coming out from Jjakji for the reinforcements, and those tanks will be able to clean up some more of these Roaches, but IdrA just has so many on the ground.
Yeah, he certainly does. Hopefully IdrA can pick off these remaining tanks. One is in the red right now. It is so important that he gets rid of those tanks. Yeah. Also, IdrA just lost so many of his units. He's replenishing his numbers. He's getting some more Queens here. He needs to get the Queens to the front to help deal with these Banshees. The cloaked Banshees are providing sight for the tanks. They're also just taking pod shots at all the units on the ground, and there's really nothing that IdrA has right now to deal with these Banshees. He's going to have to make a push with Queens and all of his units at the same time.
Yeah, but he's got to remake his Queens. He lost so many of them, and now he doesn't have any type of anti-air at all, just sending Roaches and Zerglings in, but he's got to pick off those tanks. If he can get the two tanks down, then he's going to get a lot of breathing room. He picks off the two tanks, does exactly what he needed to do. That's going to allow him to buy time to get more units out and then defend the next push. And of course, Infestation Pit is on the way, and Pathogen Glands just reached the halfway point, so now we can start to see some infestors come out and take use of that Pathogen Gland upgrade.
Yeah, but he's going to have to clean this up first. IdrA with a beautiful surround right here. He is going to be able to finally clean this up, and he will pick off those tanks as well. Beautiful moves right here from IdrA. Great work.
Well done, man. That was quite impressive, Pain User. He just picked off all the tanks. Jjakji losing his entire army, and you know, anytime a Terran player loses all their tanks, it's time to pack up and go home, man.
Yeah, it certainly is, but it looks like Jjakji has no intention of doing such. Wow. He continues to rally troops to the mid here, and it seems like, you know, Jjakji is just launching this endless assault. He really wants to pressure IdrA. He wants to get rid of that creep spread, and he's being very, very aggressive, but he's leaving himself open to a counterattack from IdrA. IdrA coming into the third with a ton of Zerglings right now. He might be able to force a liftoff here. The planetary fortress isn't even close to done, and IdrA with some brilliant moves here early on in this game, taking a substantial lead.
Yeah, once again, delaying another command center from landing. This is playing the eco game, just making sure that his opponent cannot get the expansions, get the resources he needs to stay in the late game, finally forcing Jjakji to bring all of his troops from the center of the map to defend, and that is another big win for IdrA because now he gets more breathing room in the center, doesn't have to worry about a potential attack.
We do have a hive on the way now. IdrA is teching up, and we'll have to see which direction he decides to go. Broodlords or Ultralisks. We've been seeing a lot of players use Ultralisks lately. It's what everybody's up to these days with the Broodlord transition coming later.
Nice play with those infested Terrans, picking off that Banshee, bringing in that detection at the last second. And you know what? One thing I noticed about his matchup against Bomber is I think he made too many Ultras. I really don't know about making more than 5 or 6 because not all of them can get into combat range right away. And it's nice to have some Broodlords in the back firing for you as well. So I'm hoping IdrA doesn't invest too heavily into Ultras, but having a nice number of 5 or so is also good. Meanwhile, we have some Zerglings coming into the planetary fortress. PFs just absolutely destroy Zerglings.
Can he get in before the depots go up? Oh my goodness.
At the very last second, denied.
That was so close. He almost got those Lings in for the counterattack. And here we have Jjakji once again heading into the Shark Pit. He loves it. He loves it in the Shark Pit. He continues to send all of his units and reinforce through there. Now he's pressuring IdrA's front door. We have Roaches and Infestors making their way out here. Some beautiful fungals go down. IdrA taking some heavy losses on Roaches, but it doesn't matter. He's going to clean up all of the siege tanks here once again. Another victory for IdrA.
Do note those Banshees, though, were going after the Infestors. They were able to pick up quite a few, but that Banshee is going to finally be able to... No chain fungal. It looks like he has 17 kills still. And meanwhile, in the middle of the map, IdrA coming in with his Zerglings and his Roaches. Can he get the surround on these Marines? Those Marines are running for their dear lives. He's going to be able to get it. No, he will not. The the Marines continue to retreat. Great stutter step micro by Jjakji, and now he's going to try to make his hold here, but I'm not too sure why. There's just so many roaches backing up those Zerglings, and Jjakji will have to pull back into the base. Will he be able to get the supply depots up? No, he will not! The Zerglings come inside, and Jjakji... Okay, well, looks like he's going to hold.
I love it. And now IdrA has reclaimed the shark pit for once and for all. He is reinforcing. He has Jjakji on the back foot. Jjakji's just rallying to his natural at this point. The planetary fortress is wide open. If we take a look at the income tab, 50 harvesters for Jjakji, 75, 81 now for IdrA.
Tightness plating on the way, Pain User. It looks like we will have IdrA going with the ultralisks. And I mentioned this before, hopefully he doesn't invest too heavily in ultras. I do like them. Nice fungal growth, picking off that Banshee as well. Those drones were at a bit of a disadvantage because the Banshees were going to kill them off. And now we have a move out of troops, but there is a triple crawler wall, and unlikely that Jjakji's going to be able to get in there. I love how IdrA has just really gotten crawlers at every potential location. That upgrade tab is going crazy for IdrA as well. +3/+3, adrenal glands and chitinous plating. He's going to have Ultra Zergling to the max. And will he be able to get a fungal on that medevac? No! Did he have enough energy on that infestor? I'm not entirely sure.
IdrA is looking like an absolute monster right now. He is returning to top form. There is no doubt about it. Jjakji on his back foot is replenishing that tank count, is continuing to reinforce with Marines right now. His production is relatively good. He has a ton of reactors back at home. IdrA needs to defend the fourth here. A small force from Jjakji heading in there, picking off quite a few drones here.
Yeah, they're definitely going to go in there. I don't know why they're staying next to the crawler. He wants to take the crawler down first, but meanwhile, the Spore Crawler killing off the medevac, and the medevac will retreat at the very last second. Nice play. Jjakji didn't really get that many drone kills there, though. He just kind of played a little offensively, but didn't get as much as I think he wanted. Of course, that medevac is still up in the air at the top left-hand position. Meanwhile, a lot of ultras coming out here for IdrA. He's got 4 more on the way. I believe we saw 3 or so on the mini-map there, so a total of about 7 to 8. And that's a lot of ultralisks, man.
Yeah, that certainly is. and ultralisks, you know, at one time were thought to be an extinct species, never to be seen again.
Yeah, the woolly mammoth, they've returned.
They've certainly made a resurgence here. Nice pick-off right there from IdrA.
He will not get the fungal, though. I would have liked to see him get the medevac down, but he did not. Meanwhile, Jjakji will be able to keep that medevac alive. That Marine.
Well, it looks like IdrA wants to make a move on the third here, but Jjakji has an excellent defensive position set up. He has 2 command centers. His units are positioned behind, so IdrA really just can't attack that avenue, and that's one of the problems on this map. We also have Jjakji taking an island expansion in the bottom right with an orbital command.
Absolutely, but then I saw IdrA getting a Nidus network, so he could Nidus the bottom right-hand corner as well. Meanwhile, Ultras coming in here, a lot of Ultras coming through the front. The Ultras are up in the front. That's a good job by IdrA. Now the fungal growth comes down as well, so Jjakji cannot retreat. His army is getting mauled alive. Does Jjakji have enough Marauders to hold this off? He's got to ramp up his Marauder production, and he's got to micro away from those terrible, terrible Ultra Claws.
The terrible, terrible Ultra Claws are eating Marines for breakfast right now.
But he saved them at the last second, man.
Now, we do have a Spire coming up for IdrA, so it looks like he might be looking to make a transition into Broodlords here. We'll have to see if he upgrades that into a greater Spire. We also have
Nidus Worm coming in the bottom right, Pain User.
The Nidus Worm.
Yes. IdrA knows about it. He's all about this bottom right-hand corner expansion. He knows it, and this orbital command is done for, man. IdrA can actually claim that for his own, and here comes the Zerglings. Nothing Jjakji can do. He's got to lift it off and fly away. There's no medevacs in range to save this, and there it goes.
I thought he might actually lose it there for a second. Does lift off the orbital command just in the nick of time. IdrA, as you said, could claim that island for his own now. He does have that Nidus Canal there, but it looks like IdrA's got other things on his mind. He's heading straight for the natural. There's tanks in position. IdrA's just going to barrel down the front door and head straight in.
What a fungal growth. I thought Jjakji might have a shot if he could spread out his units, but unlikely there with the fungal growth coming down, and now Jjakji is going to lose his natural, has to retreat into the main.
Beautiful moves
try to make
here.
A stand at the main man. All those SCVs! Unable to get fungal growth.
Beautiful moves here from IdrA. He's really showcasing some beautiful Zerg play.
But
he may lose He may lose his 4th hatchery here, but I think that's okay. I think he can handle it. Jjakji still, though, showing his perseverance. He just will not die.
Yeah, and Jjakji actually did bring a medevac down to the bottom, so he was able to save what could have potentially been a Zerg expansion, or Zerg conquering his expansion, if you will. And now it looks like IdrA falling back a little bit. He did send a lot of units into the front door. He did a lot of damage. And he's not going to try to commit all the way into that labyrinth known as the Terran main, because that's where things can get a little sticky. He wants to just play it safe.
Yeah, absolutely, especially when you're utilizing ultralisks in the way that he is. You need to be very wary of what buildings you attack into. Looks like IdrA is going to go for the 3rd here. If he can take out this planetary, that's absolutely huge. This is the one mining base that Jjakji has remaining. If he loses this, there's really no way for him to win this game.
And the PF drops down. IdrA is playing a dominating game of ZVT right now, and forget the stats, forget the 100% win rate, forget the 23 for ZVT. IdrA is showing that all he needs is a day of rest, and he'll get right back into it, man.
Absolutely. It looks like he has shaken off yesterday's defeats.
Get the monkey off my back.
He's got the monkey off his back. He is a whole new monster today, and he's executing perfectly. Here he comes into the natural. Jjakji trying to maintain position, falling back with his bio. Some beautiful micro from Jjakji here. He's actually doing a tremendous job, but I just don't think that he has enough to take. And beautiful fungal growth right there.
Yeah, those fungals are pretty much going to seal the deal here. Unlikely that Jjakji will be able to really last any longer. Now I think those ultras can run right into the maze, no problem. And there it is.
GG.
Masterfully done by IdrA.